Let's talk about something that quietly runs our world. This idea that algorithms are totally neutral. From our social media feeds to job applications, we're taught to trust that they're fair. But what if that trust is, well, misplaced? Let's dig in.
So I'll just ask it straight up. Are the algorithms that decide what news you see, or whether you get a loan, or even if your resume makes it to a human, are they truly fair? It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer is so much more complicated, and it affects every single one of us in ways we probably don't even see.
The story we're often told, especially by the companies building this stuff, is that these systems are just objective tools. They're just math, right? Designed to make things faster, more efficient, to take all that messy human error out of the equation. Well, that's the myth of the neutral algorithm. And today, we're going to take it apart, piece by piece.
All right, so let's start with the very foundation, the code itself. From a pure computer science standpoint, the idea that code can be perfectly objective is not just wrong, it's basically a fantasy.
And listen, this isn't just me being philosophical. It is mathematically impossible to create a truly neutral algorithm. Why? Because building an algorithm is just a long series of human choices, and every single one of those choices embeds a certain value, a certain point of view, right into the code.
So how does this bias actually creep in? Well, it happens in three key places, as you can see here. First, it starts with the training data itself, which, guess what? It comes from our world, a world already filled with historical biases. Then you've got engineers making value judgments, deciding which pieces of data or features the algorithm should pay attention to. And finally, they have to define what success even means for the algorithm. In the biz, they call this the loss function. Every step is a doorway for human opinion, not pure math, to shape the final result.
And this isn't some theoretical, abstract problem. When these biased systems get rolled out at a massive scale, they could have absolutely devastating consequences in the real world. The data scientist Cathy O'Neill gave them a pretty intense name, weapons of math destruction. And that's exactly what we're going to look at now.
Okay, let's take our first example, visa applications. This is about as high stakes as it gets. A single decision here can literally change the entire course of a person's life.
So here's how the problem starts. If you train an algorithm on decades of historical immigration data, it doesn't just learn patterns, it learns the biases of the past. It literally encodes old, outdated discrimination into the rules it uses today. So what happens? It just reinforces systematic biases against certain nationalities or ethnic groups, turning the system itself into a gatekeeper of old prejudices.
We see this exact same pattern playing out in another huge area, getting a job. So many big companies now use AI to sift through thousands and thousands of resumes. So what does that mean for you when you hit apply?
The logic is identical. If you train an AI on a company's past hiring decisions, and those decisions, well, let's just say they historically favored men, the AI is going to learn to penalize resumes that include words like women's chess club captain. It might even penalize names that are just associated with women or minorities. The result? The system isn't creating fairness, it's just automating and amplifying old inequalities.
And of course, there's the one we all experience every single day, our social media feeds. The algorithms here aren't deciding on a job or a visa, but they are absolutely deciding what information shapes our view of the entire world.
It's a wild phenomenon known as reward hacking. See, the algorithm's main goal, its definition of success, is to maximize engagement. Clicks, shares, angry comments, you name it. And what it learns very, very quickly is that the most provocative, the most emotional, the most divisive content gets the most engagement. So it shoves that stuff to the top of our feeds, not because it's true or helpful, but because it's good at grabbing our eyeballs.
And this just brilliantly nails the core point. As Cathy O'Neill puts it, algorithms are opinions embedded in mathematics. They're not neutral referees on the sidelines. No way. They are active players carrying out the values, whether intentional or not, of the people who built them.
So this all raises a much, much bigger question. If algorithms are just opinions written in code, then who has the power to write those opinions? We're moving beyond just flawed code here. We're talking about power. A handful of tech companies now have a level of control that used to be reserved for entire nations.
There's a term for this, vendor sovereignty. It's the one-sided power these companies have to change or even completely shut down access to their essential digital services to serve their own goals, or maybe the geopolitical goals of their home country. And the scary part is, this power is almost completely unregulated. A perfect
chilling example of this was when Russia invaded Ukraine. Tech giants like Google and Apple almost immediately disabled payment and map services inside Russia. Now think about that. This wasn't a government sanction. It was a corporate decision that left millions of ordinary people literally unable to buy groceries or navigate their own cities. It just goes to show you, how can a government be sovereign if it doesn't control the basic digital infrastructure its citizens depend on? You simply can't regulate technology you don't own.
And here's the part of the story that almost never gets told. This immense power isn't just built on clever code. It's built on the backs of a huge, invisible, human workforce. You see, AI doesn't just magically learn. It has to be taught, and it's taught by people.
A lot of this grueling work, called data labeling, is outsourced to workers in the Global South. And as this chart shows, this is based on data from the International Labor Organization. A huge number of these workers are paid less than a living wage. This just traps them in this endless cycle of precarious work. So the very systems that are generating billions in Silicon Valley can actually wind up reinforcing global economic inequality.
So, what does this all boil down to? It means we have to dismantle two fundamental myths that are propping up this whole dangerous idea of neutrality. Getting these 2 points right is really the key takeaway from this whole analysis.
Okay, myth number 1. Algorithms get rid of messy human error. The reality? It's actually the opposite. They take existing societal biases, they learn them from the data we give them, and then they apply those biases consistently and at a massive scale. Think about it. A biased human might impact a few dozen decisions. A biased algorithm can impact millions. They don't eliminate bias, they institutionalize it.
And myth number 2, that we, the users, are ultimately in control. The reality, especially with these super complex AI models, is that a lot of the time, even their own creators can't fully explain why a system made a particular decision. The responsibility just gets passed off to this mysterious black box, which makes any real accountability pretty much impossible.
And that leaves us with maybe the most important question of all. When one of these black box systems denies someone a loan, or a job, or even their freedom, who is ultimately responsible? The programmer? The company? The user who clicked agree on the terms of service? Or is it just nobody at all? Everything we've covered in this breakdown is drawn from the incredible analysis in the book Homo-Servus, The Collapse of Human Sovereignty in the Digital Era. It's honestly a vital read for anyone who cares about this stuff.
The book is authored by Dr. Wahiba Melawawi, Dr. Mubarkot Mohammed, and Dr. Halima Melawawi. For anyone who wants to dive way deeper, you can find it on Amazon Books and learn more at their website, homoservice.org. Thanks for watching.